everyone, my name is Sophy Henn and I'm an author and an illustrator, and I am thrilled to be back on Moon Lane TV to talk to you again about pizzazz. The first time I popped by was to tell you about Pizzazz the First, where we met our reluctant superhero who's born into a family of superheroes, because that's usually how it happens. And while they're really happy zooming off to save the planet the whole time, Pizzazz isn't so sure about this. Why does she have to do it? Maybe she'd rather be at the roller disco or hanging out with her friends or chatting to her guinea pig Bernard. So we follow Pizzazz as she works out how she's a superhero and also how she gets to fit into her new school and all the joys and agonies that go with that. So that was book one. And I'm super excited to tell you about book two, Pizzazz versus the New Kid, where Pizzazz is still juggling all of those typical things a 9 1/4-year-old juggles, such as homework, getting all of that done, being on the eco council at school, all of her friends, avoiding Serena and the populars, having the most annoying little sister ever. Oh yes, and saving the planet the whole time. So Pizzazz is still busy juggling all of those things. But then all of a sudden, big news, there's a new kid arriving in school, and not just in school, but in Pizzazz's year as well. And this new kid just so happens to be, dun, 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 super. But surely there's room for two supers in the year, right? Well, wrong, because Serena decides that there needs to be a super off to decide just who is the most super. And no points for guessing who Serena thinks is the most super. It's not Pizzazz. Anyway, so the competition gets bigger and bigger and bigger until, well, you will just have to read the book to find out. But I'm going to read a little bit of it to you now, so get yourselves nice and comfortable. And we will start with chapter 1, the bit where I tell you the story so far. Well, I am still 9 1/4, very nearly 9 1/2, and I am still a superhero. And unfortunately, my name is still Pizzazz. Apparently, I am absolutely not allowed to change it. Eye roll. You probably think being a superhero is pretty cool, but when your whole family is superheroes, it doesn't feel very cool. I mean, my mum and dad are about the furthest from cool you could get. And Grandma and Gramps are lovely, but cool? I don't think so. And then there's Red Dragon, aka the most annoying little sister ever, who only gets top marks and is the chief school counsellor and volunteers to teach the little kids to read and makes perfect cakes and is basically good at everything. But I can burp the alphabet, so who's the real winner here? Yeah, it's her. If that wasn't bad enough, I get bossed about by our pet dog, Meet Wanda. She came to us from Mission Control, and basically she receives messages about top secret superhero missions, and then she bosses us off to deal with them. There's Wanda there giving the side eye. I think she's my favourite character. Oh yes, and then there's everything else. Superpowers are cool unless you are me and have the most embarrassing superpower in the whole universe. Then I'm always having to dash off to save the planet. And always at the worst possible moment. Ugh. And guess what? I have to wear a stupid superhero costume the whole time. So now you know. Being a superhero isn't as good as you probably think it is. And I am stuck with it forever. Super. There we go. Everyone eye roll together. 1, 2, 3. Chapter 2, the bit about the new kid. Dun, dun, dun. Even though I am a superhero who saves the world more often than she is allowed ice cream, I still have to go to school. And not some sort of awesome Space Academy superhero school with hoverboards and neon lighting and teachers with laser eyes. I have to go to a normal school with normal kids who have normal names and normal clothes. So I blend in perfectly. Eye roll. Well, not everyone is completely normal. I mean, there's Susan Briggs, and she can dislocate her thumbs just like that. And then there's Freddie Hayes, who can eat 15 strawberry yogurts in a single lunchtime. And also Mr. Jones, the PE teacher. He is definitely not normal. And I suppose Serena and the populars aren't exactly normal. I mean, they are in lots of ways because they don't have anything even slightly unusual about them. There's Serena there and there's the populars. But somehow, by being extremely normal, they are super popular and everyone wants to impress them. And even then, Serena always looks like she's just smelled something very unpleasant, like the bomb's stink bomb stink, which of course she hasn't because I deal with that, so she doesn't have to. Plus, Serena manages to look really bored at the same time. It's like she's thinking, what's that smell? It's really disgusting, but also really boring. I am actually secretly impressed by this. There we go. We have Serena with her disinterested eyebrows, her very bored eyes, her repulsed nostrils, and her disgusted mouth. Ugh. My friend Ivy and I both say that while it might be nice to be popular and have everyone practically worship you and be able to do anything you wanted and have the best collection of slouchy socks ever, there is no way we would be as snooty and as mean as Serena is. Ivy and I said you would have thought that being super popular for doing almost nothing would make you happy and nice, but no. And Serena absolutely never ever does anything for anyone else or uses her popular powers for good. Ivy and I said we totally would, if we were popular, which we aren't. Well, Ivy said all that, and I agreed, strongly. Anyway, ever since I stopped Serena's dad, Mr. Piffle, from bulldozing the park next to school by using my jazz hands glitter storm superpower move, so embarrassing, she has had it in for me more than ever. There we go, there's all the moments that Serena's got it in for pizzazz. Just walking along, no, she's not having it. Talking, no, she's not having it. Oh, writing, no, Serena's not having that. Breathing, no. And of course, Pizzazz's trademark eye roll. Serena's not having that, which of course then makes Pizzazz eye roll again. And while I am not exactly thrilled at all that laughing at me, I try to distract myself by thinking about far more interesting things like donuts, my new hobby of putting googly eyes on everything, and the rumour that is all over school about a new kid starting in my year. This is actually quite exciting for lots of reasons. 1, I will no longer be the new kid. Hooray! I mean, technically, both me and my sister Red were new kids together about 5 months ago when our parents made us move here so we could be nearer Gramps and Grandma. But obviously, Red fitted in straight away, so being the new kid was left to me. 2, they could be less cool than me and might make me look cooler. 3, they might like me. I mean, they might. 4, they might bring donuts, which, thinking about it, is exactly what I should have done when I started. I mean, who doesn't like the person with the donuts? I had a lunchtime meeting with my best friends, Ivy, Ed and Molly, otherwise known as the Eco Council, because guess what? I save the planet when I'm at school as well as the rest of the time. I know, it's just non-stop. We were discussing how on earth we could sort out a compost area for the school canteen food waste, when Molly said she had some exciting news that wasn't Eco Council related, but if she didn't tell us, she would burst. We took a vote and unanimously agreed that none of us wanted Molly to burst. So then she told us that her mum's sister's husband's best friend's brother does house decorating, and that he was decorating a house nearby, and that house happened to belong to a certain new kid at their family. And then she said we would never guess what. Well, we all tried to guess. I guessed they had a donut shop. Oh, there we go. Ivy guessed that they were all published novelists. And Ed guessed that they were a family band and each member played a different brass instrument. Amazingly, none of us were right. So Molly told us the new family were all supers. There we go. So I'm going to leave you on that cliffhanger there. The next chapter, what's the next chapter called? Oh, the bit where I decide to save the new kid. Interesting. So I hope you enjoyed that little taster of Pizzazz versus the new kid. And I thought I would leave you with a little challenge if you fancy it, and that is to come up with your own superhero. So when I was thinking of Pizzazz, when I thought up Pizzazz, I was thinking about all of those young, keen, perky, can-do, really together superheroes that we often see. And while of course we need those, I thought it might be quite funny if I flipped it and I turned it upside down and made them not so keen and a little bit scruffy a little bit disorganized and a little bit fed up about being a superhero. And then I thought, well, if I make them all of those things, maybe I need to give them an extra superhero name just so they find it all the more awkward and embarrassing. So I came up with PIZAZZ. And then I thought, well, what kind of superpower would someone called PIZAZZ have? And so I came up with the jazz hands and the glitter storm. And I also thought that that would be extra embarrassing for her, because seeing as she's not very keen on being a superhero anyway, what's the most embarrassing superpower she could have that she'd have to use, often in front of crowds of people watching her save the planet? And I thought, that's quite embarrassing, isn't it? It's quite embarrassing. So maybe you could come up with your superhero in the same way. Think of a type of a superhero and then turn it on its head, like your traditional types of superheroes. You've got your very brave superheroes, so you can make them a bit scared maybe. Maybe they're scared of everything, or maybe they're scared of one specific thing and that thing keeps popping up the whole time and they have to work out ways around it, or even how they use it to their advantage. Maybe they're not scared of anything, but is that a good thing, to not be scared of anything, just to barrel into a situation not thinking about it? I think you could have lots of fun with that one. Maybe their superpower is just completely rubbish, but then they have to work out how they can turn that into a good thing. How do they make the best of their rubbish superpower? Or maybe you could think of a superhero for our times. You know, that maybe they've got a boredom zapper or something like that. That would be good. I'd like a boredom zapper right now. So yes, you could think of all kinds of weird and wonderful superheroes. So think of their character, give them a superpower, and then give them a name. And you can do that in any order. You could start with the superpower and work backwards. You could start with the name and think what superpower would go with that, and what sort of a person would have that sort of a name. And then if you want to, well, you could write a story for them, maybe write a comic strip, draw a comic strip for them. These books are packed with different comic strips, all kinds of things with like lots of nice noises like zap and kapow and kaboom and things like that. So if you're going to draw them, you might want to think of, well, you will have to think of what they're going to look like. So with PIZAZZ, she's a superhero, so I gave her a cape, but because she's a little bit reluctant and she's not your typical superhero, I made the cape a bit too long, so it dragged along like the sort of cape you'd have to grow into, you know, when you get your you go shopping and someone gets you a jumper and they say, well, it's got room to grow. So that's sort of what PIZAZZ's cape's got. But then she's quite cool as well, I think, PIZAZZ. So she's got her fingerless gloves and her cool orange, they sort of look like DMs, don't they? And her slightly punky bunches and her cool t-shirt and shorts. But yeah, so I thought about all the clues in her character, and they helped me decide what she would look like. So have a think about all of that and create your own superhero. Write a story for them, maybe even a comic strip. And I would love to see what you come up with. But anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed all this. I hope you enjoy the boredom zapping task I've just set you. And thanks very much for listening. Take care. See you soon. Bye.